Linsoul has generously offered to raffle a gift for every review video. To enter, just subscribe, like, and comment. We'll choose one winner at random every week. You have 72 hours from the launch of each video, so make sure to set an alert for new videos.
I'm James Deemer, the audio nomad. Today we're going to talk about the Thieaudio Monarch Mark IV. Let's go. I've been a big fan of Thieaudio since I bought the Legacy 3 many years ago, bought the Legacy 5, the Legacy 9. I've owned the Elixir, of course, all the hype models and oracles. And instead of buying the original Monarch, I went with the Clairvoyance because the Monarch and the Clairvoyance came out at the same time, and the Clairvoyance was a mid-bass focused in-ear monitor, and the Monarch was a sub-bass focused in-ear monitor. They were both incredibly popular. And of course, I've listened to the original Monarch, the Monarch Mark II, which I have in my collection, the Monarch Mark III, which I also own, and now the Monarch Mark IV. So the Monarch Mark IV is a little more expensive. It's an aluminum shell. There was some talk of the shell being made out of titanium in the beginning, and I think that's something that they may do in the future, but for now it's aluminum. This is a 2 dynamic driver, 6 balanced armature, and 2 electrostatic driver per side in-ear monitor. It's $1,150, and it comes with a little bass switch on the shell. It's kind of a cool switch, but you can increase the bass shelf by, I think it's around 4 or 5 decibel. From 10 hertz, I think they advertise, to, well, frankly, it carries all the way to 1,000 hertz. If you normalize the graph at 1,000 hertz, which means you're lining up the reference point of 1,000 hertz, you can see that below 1,000 hertz, switch off versus switch on. I'm going to call it normal versus enhanced. Really, the enhanced starts to climb really from 1,000 hertz all the way down to 20 hertz. And while it's a subtle amount, the net effect is it gives you a lot more weight and slam in sub bass and mid bass. And it also tends to give you more kind of note weight and thickness in that mid bass and lower mid region. So here's where things get weird for me. I'm going to be very honest with you. As popular as the Monarch series has been, it's never been my favorite flagship Thieaudio IEM. I'm a Divinity V16 guy. I've always loved the V16. I love the 14 driver V14 that came before the V16. I like the Valhalla. I don't like it as much as I like the V16, but that's also an all balanced armature set. For some reason, the Monarch series has just never really grabbed me. The Prestige Limited is definitely higher up on my list than the Monarchs to date. But along comes the Thieaudio Monarch Mark IV, and I think I finally found the Monarch that works for me. So I just did a video on the Punch Audio Martillo, which is a bass head lover's dream IEM. Frankly, I'm not a overly weighty bass lover in my IEMs. I like balance. I like my equipment and frequency response to be in harmony because I don't really want to think about the equipment that I'm listening to when I'm listening to it. I want to think about the music that I'm listening to. The Punch Audio Martillo just gave me too much bass. And I was worried that with the bass switch set to enhanced mode on the Thieaudio Monarch Mark IV, I was going to feel like it was just too much bass, too weighty, too forward, too in your face, too distracting. But it isn't for me. I love it. I found myself constantly switching back to the enhanced mode because I found that it wasn't detractive. Instead, it was additive to my enjoyment of the music. I'm not sure what tricks they're pulling over at Thieaudio, but in the case of the Thieaudio Monarch Mark IV, the bass with the enhanced switch on has lots of texture and meatiness and heftiness to it, but it still doesn't sound flabby or tubby or too muddled. It decays nicely, it attacks really well, and then goes away when you don't want it to be there. Thieaudio has figured out how to tune the EST electrostatic drivers in such a way that they are the most natural timbre of all of the Monarch IEMs that I've heard. And I guess now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, that's sort of the thing that's been the Achilles heel for the Monarch series for me. I haven't felt like the high frequency has felt natural. In the case of the Monarch Mark IV, it's very, very natural. And it works so well with that elevated bass response you get with the enhanced switch on. You know, they sound really good in normal mode too. So if you just don't want the bass, or you're listening to, you know, EDM or some sort of music, maybe it's orchestral music that's got, you know, big kettle drums or, you know, deep resonance that you just don't want to overpower your music, flip the switches. If it's something that you want a little more weight and punch, frankly, in that lower frequency and, you know, even mid-lower frequency range, then flipping the switch to enhance just gives it to you. So it's almost two IEMs in one. It's a nice cable. It's a, you know, kind of a chocolate brown cable, doesn't exhibit microphonics. It feels fairly premium. Of course, you can switch from 3.5 unbalanced to 4.4 balanced. They're fairly comfortable in my ears. I didn't have any problems with them. I generally don't with most IEMs. I'm glad that they're metal shells because less chance of breaking them, but I always advise people to use a short clip, especially with expensive IEMs like this. The Thieaudio Monarch Mark IV. It's a special set. It's not a cheap set. If you already have the Monarch Mark II, the Mark III, you know, I would say this might be your time to upgrade because of the switch and because of the metal shell. If you want to find out for yourself, I'll be at all the Can Jams for the rest of 2025. I'll be at shows in 2026. You can ask questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. You can go to the Linsoul Discord channel and ask anything you want on the Discord. Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes to the Discord. I hope you get a chance to try these because they're really, really nice. I'm James Deemer, the Audio Nomad. I appreciate you watching. This video is brought to you by Linsoul.com. Linsoul sells IEMs, headphones, amplifiers, digital to analog converters, cables, really just about anything you could want for personal hi-fi or even home hi-fi. Their prices are great, the quality is exceptional, and their customer service is really second to none. Check them out in the link below.